Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds Fan Channel. This is the final word, the second episode of this series. I'm going to try keep on going. It's almost like a summary of the instant match reaction and a summary of your comments and all this sort of good stuff. And I'm delighted this week to be joined by KG, my co-host for the debrief. Normally, that will be back as always every single Monday. But we're going to get into it today. We're going to try chew the fat and get into the major talking points included with Leeds United. So let's get to it. Do we have to do this? I guess we do. I can see my man backstage. But before all of that stuff, guys, we're just going to get into a few things with regards to the BETMATE app last night. A load of you got involved, and I think there was about 78 of you. I think there was a prize shared among around 6. Quick shout out to the guy who won it. I think it's Yappy164, 140 quid. 70, I think there's like 90 quids there. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere near the top. Shock. I mean, KG won't be surprised at this, but my predictions when it comes to just football scores and any sort of fantasy football is just awful. I think I came third bottom. There's 76 people. So I just don't know why I get involved with this stuff anymore. But yeah, well done to everybody who got some dough. And without any further ado, KG, how we doing, mate? Everything good? We all buzzing?
Yeah, man, everything's hunky-dory, man. It's all good. It's all good.
Backstage, I was just making just some sort of weird, strange noises that I've never even known I've made myself, to be honest. It's Leeds is just taking it out of us both, I think, mate. And what did it? I mean, how do we start this, mate? What do we do? What do we do? I mean, I watched your show, obviously last night, and I just had a little bit of a 10-minute instant match reaction. If you haven't checked both of those out, guys, make sure you do so. But I'm just at a bit of a loss, KG. I might need your help through this, mate.
Listen, I might need your help too. I think everyone, and hello to everyone in the chat tonight. That's what it was like last night. The chat was just all over the place. Everyone had a bit of blame for this person, players everywhere. It's just where we are in the league and how it's gone this season. It's been a disaster. And we've been saying this for a while, but I mean, what we saw yesterday was just, it was laughable. Arsenal, I was angry after that game. I couldn't believe what they served up. But then you think in your head, surely, home game, under the lights, man, they just wilted. They didn't do anything last night. Like literally, it was like a replay of the Arsenal game, but with just less attacking, which was impossible. You wouldn't think it was possible, but it was.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think you could get much worse in a performance sort of stance from that Arsenal game. I mean, the second half, I mean, if you're grasping at straws, we got into it a tiny bit. But I mean, KG, you were talking about it and you were saying it's going to be a disgrace if we lose to Chelsea in that fashion. And not only did we lose in that fashion, mate, but I think what annoyed me most yesterday is I saw a bit of a giving up, resignation, lack of fight, desire, heart. And as a Leeds United player, you've got to give that. We talk about quality and technicians on the pitch all the time, but the basic principles of playing for Leeds United are giving 100%. And I'm sorry, mate, I'm not seeing enough of it. I'm seeing Mason Mount in acres of space, not being trapped by anyone. I'm seeing Rudiger get the freedom of Ellen Road. I'm seeing on Sky Sports Chelsea players laughing between each other. I'm seeing Rodrigo doing this to about 3 or 4 different Chelsea players. God knows what he's saying. Obviously, we're making assumptions there, or I am. But it just feels wrong, KG. It all feels wrong now. It feels toxic.
Mm-hmm. Toxic's a really good word, and you've seen. I mean, like I say, I don't get involved with it on social media, but I certainly have a look when I get into my search bit, and I just see the bickering that's going on between the fan base right now. It's exactly like it was before Bielsa arrived, where everyone's just looking for something to cling on to or to blame, and everyone's just against each other again. We had 3 glorious years together. It was so nice, everyone united, but we're back to this again, where there's so much blame to go around, Connor. I mean, you don't even know where to start. You don't even know where to start with this. But when you talk about the game last night, again, we don't even give ourselves a chance, man. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. And it was the whole thing of Reece James having the freedom of the penalty box. Stroud didn't get anywhere near him. and then Mason Mount on the edge of the box. Mason Mount, of all players, who was ready for this game, by the way, people, like I said he was going to be. And he had the freedom. Liam Cooper, man, listen, everyone talks about Liam Cooper, but he turned away softly.
He did.
He wasn't trying to block that shot. He was turning away very meekly. So for all the attributes that people were giving him while he was injured, I didn't see it yesterday. And that's just one problem, though. Everyone was a problem yesterday, including the manager, and I'm sure we'll get into it due to the title today.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. Someone at the top of the chat when I scheduled it said I think it's a little bit unfair that you've titled, the video that, but I think it's a bit of an elephant in the room now, Cage. I think we've got to start talking about it. It's 10 games now that he's been in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I said on my instant match reaction, I said Bielsa, in my opinion, should have been sacked. That needed to happen, but that's it's a separate issue to the fact that we've regressed. We have regressed. KG, yeah. we can't pass a ball, mate. In the final third, we don't even get into the final third, mate. Like, it is atrocious. It's some of the worst football I've seen, mate. It is just there's no plan, there's no strategy. And me and you spoke weeks ago, and I said to you, I was very skeptical, like I normally am. And I just said, KJ, I can't. And it was early on, but I'm thinking, surely there should be a style. And then there was a break, wasn't there? We went away for 16 days and they came back and it was the exact same, if not worse. It almost feels like the longer he's spending with this team, the worse it's getting.
Yeah, and for me, it was always about points over style. You know that from me, Connor. But even in those moments, you can still muster up something within the game. We've seen bad teams go to better teams and beat them because they just got that 1-2 moments in the game and took it and then just shut up shop and then just batten down the hatches. We're incapable of doing both. I mean, once at the last 2 games, we take the last 2 games in particular. It's like whenever we go over the halfway line, the players get a nosebleed. They don't know what to do. It's really odd for me to see. And then Rafinha, and this is where we have to start talking about Jesse Marsch, because even I've said, judging with his own players.
And me and you, can we just say as a caveat as well, mate? Me and you have been very, very, very good in terms of, in my opinion, have been very accepting and backing Jesse Marsch and saying, look, we've got to give him a chance, we've got to give him a window, but. Yeah, I just wanted to add that in, mate, because everyone's going to start coming up and saying, you can't say this, but you can't say that. But surely 10 games in, we have to start seeing something.
And that's what I was alluding to yesterday on my post-match reaction, because it has to be said. And like you're correct, I was willing to give this guy a chance and give him the summer and see if he could get his own players in. But I'm wondering what he's doing with these players. And I've said the quality is low. I get it. But then you've got to make it a little bit easy for yourself. And playing Rafinha at right wing back isn't making it easy for yourself. Continuing on with the Dan James experiment at the top of the field is not making it easy for yourself. You know, employing a system where we're hardly getting out of our own third of the pitch is not making it easy for yourself. That's all on the manager and all this tough tackling that's going on. I agree with more aggression, but it's got to be channeled in the right way. I don't think it's it can't be a coincidence the 3 times now in Stuart Dallas, stupidly tackling Grealish, Ayling with Martinelli, and now Dan James, which was an awful tackle, by the way. The more you see it, the more Koza could have been done for the rest of the season and possibly next. It was that bad. There's a way of doing it. There's a way of channeling these tackles, and I do think that has to be an instruction from Jesse. So he's not getting. That was always the fear, though, isn't it, Connor? And it's something I mentioned many times where I just worried about the next manager. How much more can they get out of these players? What Bielsa can't. That's why I just wish that man just adapted. Please, Bielsa, just adapt. But he didn't do it. So we had to make the change. But just like the Alioski to Firpo, has Bielsa to Marsch been a bad move? But in just a catalogue of continuous bad moves that's happened over the past year.
Yeah, well, the managerial... the candidates that were spoken about. I mean, Valverde was an interesting one because it was supposedly Valverde, Corberan, or Marsch. And you look at Corberan, you look at Valverde, it's very similar in terms of styles to Bielsa. So you can understand that transition, especially sort of, 3/4 of the way through a season. You get that. I understood that a little bit. But for me, KG, that they understood, and I get this thought process, but then again, the long contract maybe says otherwise. I'd understand it if you were getting someone like Jesse Marsch to come in, tweak a few things, but be that motivator that,
Yeah,
we needed to pick me up. We evidently needed to pick me up. And I still think we'd have gone down with Bielsa,
yeah,
but they needed to pick me up. And I understand that because maybe a Valverde, a Corberan wouldn't have been able to come in and give them that sort of like spike in motivation. But at some point, there has to be a level of strategy. There has to be something. And do you know what, KG? With Bielsa, as bad as it got, I got it. I understood what that man was trying to do week in, week out. I understand the principles, the ethos, everything. I got it. It didn't work towards the end, but you
yeah.
knew what Bielsa was all about. KJ, I don't get what this guy's doing. I don't get it. We don't counter press. We don't press at all.
No,
We play Dan James in the 10. You're playing Strauch at left wing back. You're playing Rafinha at right wing back. And that's not that. And that's just positional. I mean, the actual tactics. What is the plan when we get the ball? I mean, I know he doesn't like possession. I understand that. And it's all about winning the ball back. But when do you ever see Leeds recovering the ball in the final third? When does that happen? When do you see a completed pass, KG, in the final third
yeah,
at the minute? It's actually atrocious.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, listen, we've spoken about Marsch and the way that he would prefer to play, and that's a more narrow style with central attacking midfielders. But we don't have those. So, like we criticize Bielsa for playing square pegs in round holes, he has to also take that as well because he's doing it with wingers trying to make them attacking midfielders, and it's not working. It hasn't worked. And people talk about the 5-game unbeaten run, and it was really good. And these 3 games that we just had, were we expected to get anything out of them? No, but there's ways of going about the games and giving yourself a chance, at least grabbing a point. We've seen Watford, who arguably we've got a better team than Watford, but they've managed to get points out of Manchester United this season.
Mm.
The worst teams have managed to get points against some of the big clubs, but us. I mean, it just says it all, doesn't it? After the crowd get there early yesterday and everything else like that, cheer on the bus. And I said it in my video, I think they got scared of it. I don't think it encouraged them. I think it actually made them feel more pressure.
Which isn't that something? Because you look a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't even a couple of weeks ago, when Everton welcomed Chelsea to Goodison and there was pyros outside. It looked very intimidating, to be fair. It was very European, wasn't it? You'd normally see that in maybe Turkey or Greece or Italy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I'd love Leeds to emulate that. I'd love Leeds, for it to be like a real fierce environment. And the fans did that, KG. They get down there early. They've got so many things that are going on in their lives, but they get down early when the team bus arrives. And they're really supporting the side. They've done that all season anyway. But then Everton players go on the pitch and put in a brilliant performance and nullify Chelsea and sort of prove what Chelsea are at the minute. Not that great. Yet Chelsea come to Leeds, and after we've done that pre-match, after the Leeds fans have been brilliant once again, like we always say, and I just feel cheated at the minute, mate. I feel we're not getting anything back. And yeah, we can put it down to quality, of course we can, but I still look at this Burnley team and I think there's not that much quality there. There really isn't. But then why are they able to derive more consistent performances out of their top players? What's going on?
No one knows. The only thing that we can think of is that they just don't have the bottle.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's such a simple answer, but I really do believe that. I genuinely think, even if with all the injuries that we've had this season, if there was no crowds this year, I don't think we'd be in the bottom 3. I think we wouldn't be there because these guys.
I think. Yeah, I don't think it'd have been anything like last season, though.
No. We wouldn't have finished that high with this same team. But what I mean is, I think that it would have been beneficial to a few of these players. The ones we're talking about, where there's no crowd. I think we could have probably been comfortably 14th or maybe 15th, comfortably like in that 40-point bracket kind of thing. I just don't think that these guys. The home crowd hasn't really done. I don't know if you've got the stats in front of you. You know me, I'm not a stat man, but the home record isn't great this season. And we always try and rely on Ellen Road to be it. But as before, when we used to be in the Championship and we used to get players that used to love the idea of playing for Leeds, but once they got here and the expectation fell on their heads, they always wilted and tried to hide on the pitch. We're seeing it right now. This is what it's reminding me of. It's reminding me of those dark Championship days where we couldn't get a shot on target, play 2 passes together. It's just ugly football. But it's ugly football without any results. And that's that's even worse for me.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually, I've just had a check there. We're 18th in the home form table. We've played, and this is staggering for a team who, you know, should really be making Ellen Road a fortress.
Yeah.
18 games, 4 wins, 9 losses. That is, I mean, it's in any relegation battle. That has got to be an absolute must that you're picking points up at your home ground. You know, the majority of the crowd are your fans. Yet Leeds are more comfortable away from home, which, as we always talk about, KG, points to a weak, fragile mentality.
Yeah, it's visiting crowds should be more, visiting teams that have been in the Premier League longer shouldn't be used to an Ellen Road crowd. So it should be on them to be intimidated and go, wow, this is intense. But they've just been rolling around. I mean, Mason Mount said that was fun. He said that was fun. He said after the game, that was fun. What can you do? You can't say, hey, shut up, you. You got to go, yeah, it looked like it was fun because you guys haven't played that kind of fluid football for over a month. It's been that long. Even when they went 2-0 up against Wolves, Wolves came back 2-2. But not us.
But we've spoken about this, and I'm sorry, I don't want to say it, but this PR bullshit at the minute. And what's irritating me is, KG, and we'll hark back to the fans again because it's got a wider point. They're continuously talking about fans showing up, fans doing this, fans participating, fans doing this, fans doing that. I mean, would you ever get a fan base? I mean, we've spoken about if we agree with it or not, but that's a side issue, a side point, I should say. But would you ever get a crowd like they have at Ellen Road at the minute, where 4-0, 4-2, 4-1, they're still supporting the boys all the way through, and the club have the cheek to turn around before the game and sort of say, you know, we need you all there. Well, they've been there all season. They're there all season supporting the boys.
Yeah.
You know, focus on your job. Why are we not getting enough why is Jesse Marsch not getting enough out of these players? Why are these players performing way below their standards? Because I still think we could get a lot more from this team, KG, just in terms of where we are at the minute. I mean, the caliber is abysmal. I agree with you, but there is some serious psychological problems. I mean, we talk about mentality, but even just, I mean, I'm actually looking at Dan James's sending off last night. And I'm thinking, I mean, there's no protests. He sort of looked at the referee aghast, but then he walked off really simply. There's no, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a clip with Rafinha earlier. You know, the people who were saying Rafinha doesn't care and he's checked out and all this stuff, which I think is absolute rubbish. He's getting someone in the, I don't know if you saw this, but someone in the family stand got the ball and put it underneath the top. And you've got Calvin Phillips, Mr. Leeds United, Mr. Leeds, born in Leeds through the academy, stood there with his hands on his hips. Robin Koch is the closest person to the ball. Llorente is very, very close as well. And you get Rafinha sort of sprinting past Calvin to run and get the ball back and ask the crowd for the ball back. I mean, the crowd stealing the ball is just bizarre in its own way when we're losing the game. Marcus Alonso literally taking the piss out of us.
Yeah.
But then for Rafinha to charge across the pitch, and it's just showing at the minute that it's fragmented from top down, really.
And Rafinha was the one on the pitch talking to the players when there was breaks in play. He'd be the one talking to the players, trying to tell them, listen, do this, do that. Let's try and do this. But yet he's the one that doesn't care. It's just easy for people to say Rafinha doesn't care because people know he's going to go. I think it's just a coping mechanism because he's going to be leaving. It's much easier to say Forshaw gives everything by running around like a dog chasing a ball than saying he's checked out. It's just easy to do. It's just what happens with the fan base at times. But when we're talking about Jesse Marsch, I just wonder, I'm not saying this is true, by the way, this is just a thought, because he came in and it was so motivational. It was such a breath of fresh air from Bielsa. He was talking freely, trying to big up the players, give them this and that. But it's like when you've got that manager that comes in the office, say, and he talks the talk for the first couple of weeks. But then after a while, you're like, what does this guy actually do? And then all of a sudden, all his words just like, oh, here he goes again. And I just wonder, because the players did have that look of after Spurs yesterday. You know what I mean? They had that look of, I don't know what we're doing here. So I do wonder if that is a thing. I'm not saying it is, but I just wonder.
Yeah, because it can only get you so far, can't it? It really can. And the intensity that they've come down from from Marcelo Bielsa and his coaching staff, which will have been insane, as we all know.
Yeah.
That come down from what it is with Jesse Marsch, you presume it's maybe a little bit less intense, well, a lot less intense, in that 16-day break. They're all going on holidays and stuff. I think they only returned with 5 days to go when we had a really important game on the Saturday.
Yeah.
The level, the atmosphere in the training ground will be completely different now, for negative or for sort of positive reasons. But I do think at the minute, mate, it's got to a point where he almost looks a little bit desperate on the sidelines. I think he looks desperate with the team lineup. And we'll start straight away, mate. I mean, we were just looking earlier on and it looked like Rafinha was at right wing back again. Is that how you read the lineup?
I didn't read it that way, but when you saw them play, he was there until James went off and then Firpo came on. Then Rafinha got pushed up a little bit more because Koch went to right back, didn't he?
Yeah.
And so, Rafinha was right wing back. But I didn't read it that way. I just thought he was going to go ultra defensive. But wow, you just can't. That's what I mean when people say you can't blame Jesse Marsch. I agree, these aren't his players, but you have to give yourself the best chance. And putting Rafinha at right wing back at home in a game where you can get something out of it, there's a chance to get something against Chelsea. You can't really give him a pass for that one.
Seemed very easy for Chelsea as well, didn't it?
Yeah, and again, like we talk about Gelhardt before, and to be honest, like, why isn't this guy playing? Gelhardt was our third sub yesterday. So again, he's not even starting him as a striker. You think somebody with his attacking threat against Chelsea, give him a try. He scored against them before. Give him a try. He's ready. He's 20 years old. He's ready to play. But we're just seeing the same mistakes over and over again. But it's a combination of both the coaches and the players at the same time. Don't get me wrong, but you've got to give yourself the best shot, man.
I mean, I'll read some things out to you here. So last night, the first shot we had, I believe it was something like the first shot on target we had last night in 170 minutes. It took us 70 minutes to have an open play chance. Against Arsenal, it took us 66 minutes for a shot. Palace, if we're being honest, I mean, I can't even remember a chance really against Crystal Palace. Watford, obviously, they created more chances than we did, won the game 3-0. Southampton, I probably thought Southampton edged that game a little bit. It's becoming a difficult one to stomach, isn't it? When you're getting someone like Michael Jackson, who was at Burnley, who has turned it around and he's had less games to what Jesse's had. And you sort of understand a little bit what Burnley doing, trying to play out a little bit more from the back, but keeping the principles, being difficult to beat, keeping that same structure, 4-4-2, tweaks. That this is what we were told Marsch was doing, but it seems to be so far away from what Bielsa did that the players look utterly confused. I mean, who are you looking at mostly here, KG? Is it the players over sort of Jesse Marsch?
Oh, it's definitely the players, but with all due respect to these players, some of them shouldn't be here. But I've been saying this for time. Some of them should not be at Leeds United in the Premier League. So it's just like when the Tyler Roberts thing kept on happening. At some point, you just have to stop blaming Tyler Roberts and hating on him. Just go, well, it's not his fault he keeps getting brought on to do nothing. It's not Matthias Klick's fault he keeps getting brought on to do nothing. At some point, you just have to say it goes above their heads. But the effort on the pitch that they need to show is not there, and that's where I do get out of them. Yesterday was a joke. There was no shots on target yesterday at home in a relegation battle. And then you've got Liam Cooper with a soundbite today on the Leeds United website, not a soundbite, but a quote saying that this is a fight. Well, where is it? Where is the fight? And the pressure cooker as well at Leeds United is always going to be bigger. I say Burnley probably play with a bit more freedom than we can, because of the expectation, but at the same time, they are getting all the love from the crowd. Yet again, yesterday, someone that was there told me that they were applauded off the pitch. After the 3-0. And you know me, I've got my thoughts on that. I don't think you should be applauding these guys off the pitch anymore. I don't think you should boo them. I'm not saying boo them. I don't think you should give them anything. Because yet again, after the game, one of the lines from Jesse was, the crowd have been great today. But what about you guys? When are you going to be great? When are you going to give something to us back? You're asking for £75 memberships, and we don't even know what league we're going to be in. But so give us something else. Give us something. I'm here on here. You know, we're here as content creators. I'm here saying that we're going to beat Chelsea 1-0. You know what I mean? You're not giving me anything except for just egg on my face.
Well, we all tried, didn't we, mate? We all tried, even myself. I mean, I was thinking, come on, I was sure they've got to give
Yeah,
us something. It's just, I mean, you even called it. You said a reaction. I mean, there's just
yeah.
nothing. Is there? It's limp. It's flaccid. There's just nothing there. I mean, Daniel O'Neill, we'll start reading a couple of your comments out now, everybody. Making
Hmm.
sure you're smashing the likes on the video. Subscribe as always. Check Cage's channel. Link will be in the description below as always. You to ask for a change. I understand we needed results, but it was the wrong decision. At least Bielsa got the best out of a bad bunch. From my perspective, Daniel, I think it's, you look at it and suddenly Leeds are in the bottom three. Suddenly Leeds are playing horrendously. Suddenly it looks like it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to be in the Championship. But for me, we were down. We were down with Bielsa anyway. That man marking system, the players weren't abiding by it anymore. They were not religious with it anymore. Players were oozing past them really, really simply and easily. They were getting more shots on goal and target. I saw a statistic today at the sort of I think it was the last season Bielsa was involved with Leeds. Obviously, more shots on target, more shots on goal. Obviously, less KM ran as well. I read today, and everything you could tell the sort of standard of the squad in terms of running was really depreciating. And I think that was I don't think we've ever come on here and said Bielsa's tactical plan was ever wrong. I always wanted a plan B. I always wanted him to be a little bit more pragmatic. But I think Bielsa always needed to go at the time. I think the players had lost confidence. But was Jesse... The question for me is, KG,
Yeah.
was Jesse Marsch the right appointment with how far we are away from what Bielsa's ideals were?
Well, this is it, Connor. And I even said last night. I mean, you know me. I've been talking about we shouldn't be sentimental for this club. We need to change the players, everything else. But even I was guilty of sentiment because if we're being real, Bielsa should have gone probably December.
Yeah, he should
If
have.
we're being really honest with ourselves, with the results that were going out against us at that point, we should have been looking for a new manager. Then when we can't beat Brentford at home without Ivan Toney, and we're celebrating, Victor was giving it to the fans who dared question him over the signings at that time, and he's giving it back at a 2-2 draw. There should have been signs that we let him go then. But again, I hold my hands up. I was guilty of it. I was always hopeful that he would just adjust something, just change, or that he would greenlight some signings in January and we could possibly flesh out the squad a bit more. But none of it happened. And it wasn't until I would say the Newcastle home defeat where I finally just realized, you know what, man, he's not going to change. He's
No.
gonna go until either he walks or the board sack him. It wasn't up until then where it just clicked for me that the guy's not going to change his stance. So listen, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I was giving him shots. You know, a lot of my subscribers were telling me, "No, you need to say Bielsa," but I wasn't going to say it at that point because I really thought he would change something, but unfortunately he didn't. Whether Jesse Marsch is the right choice, again, we talk about PR. They said that it was going to be an easy transition from Bielsa to Marsch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I think we were sold a dream. Yet again, not the first one this season.
I mean, this is very misleading as well, Jason. They got a Champions League manager that developed Haaland. Stop. I mean,
Jason was there yesterday talking about that, and I said to Jason, it's true. He had real technicians like Shabazz and all these guys.
Yeah.
But listen, you have to make do with the best of what you got. And when you're putting Rafinha at right wing back and you're still persisting with Dan James up front, that's not doing the best with what you've got. It isn't.
Exactly as well. And you're talking about developing Haaland, but I know it's only been a short period of time, but managers come in. Frank Lampard, I hate to say it, but he's developed Anthony Gordon in a very short space of time. You know, you look at Jesse Marsch coming into this Leeds United setup, and there's been no development whatsoever. There's no tactical ideal. There is no strategy from the look of it. And you'd expect KG with a third of the season that he had to work on, there'd be a little bit more. So we can't really talk about development of certain players and certain tactics because we can't relate to it, can we?
No, we can't relate to any of that. No, we can't. We can't relate to any of that at all.
No. Well, and I just wanted to pull up. I mean, it's not a Bielsa Marsch thing, but this is a seasonal thing. It's a season of how bad it's been at Leeds United. I mean, we look at this sort of Spurs game. That was, I mean, do you remember, KG? That was when the squad was absolutely stripped and Spurs sort of blew us away really in November in sort of that half an hour spell in the second half. Brighton, I mean, we couldn't touch Brighton, could we? Crystal
We were
Palace,
lucky against Brighton that we didn't lose that one. Very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, we less said about that, the better, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the Crystal Palace game, that could have gone either way. The Brentford game was utterly abysmal. We were 1-0 up at half time, threw it away, dominated by Brentford for 20 minutes after half time. They got 2, and we managed to grab one in the last minute. Obviously, the Chelsea game, I'd say, was a definite highlight under Bielsa in his last tenure, but ultimately we still lost the game. And then we got into the run, didn't we, KG? The 7-0, the 4-1, 3-1 was a good result. Obviously, lost 2-0 to West Ham. Good one here. So a couple of outliers here, but this was probably the best phase of the season for Leeds United. And then you get into this period, and this is the crunch time for Bielsa. This was the big crunch time. Obviously, it was January. We didn't bring anyone in, but Newcastle were in a horrendous vein of form. I don't think they'd won all season away from home. Grabbed the 1-0 win. Villa, do you remember they scored? Do you remember they scored those 2 goals within about 30 minutes, and we couldn't get close to them. Great fight back, but then obviously this one against Everton. I mean, KG, that could have been 6-0, couldn't it? That game.
Yeah, and we're talking. I mean, you just go back to the Newcastle one. I mean, both of those games. The first Newcastle one away, we should have won that one. If you're looking to win games, that was when they still had Steve Bruce and the old owners, and the crowd were on Newcastle. Yeah. And we settled for a draw in the end. We didn't even try and attack them near the end. I always remember it clearly because the centre-backs were passing it around the 89th minute instead of going for the attack. And that was under Bielsa, who's notorious for attacking. And then that second one, that was a simple one where all it took was just play a striker and we would have finished those guys off.
Yeah, true.
That's all it would have taken. That is literally all it would have taken. Sometimes football is a simple sport. And if you had put a striker in there instead of Dan James, you know, we would have fared a lot better. And I really believe we would have won that game because they were in woeful form. And then, of course, it was that Shelby free kick that, I mean, look, it's just a series of things over the year. I mean, look at that. Man United 4-2 away. I mean, how many times have they done that to other teams this season? Brighton have literally just beaten 4-0.
KG, I think the thing as well with and this is obviously a seasonal thing, what we're trying to do is provide a little bit of balance here because it's not just about Jesse, it's the whole season with Bielsa included. I think the thing is we scored 2 against Man United. I think me and you discussed it. There was still absolute, for how we approached that game, there was absolutely no way we were winning that game because you just knew Man United were going to curate more and more chances because the man marking system had gone to pot. It was just a free-for-all, wasn't it, at that point?
Yeah. The game was just too open. And unfortunately, you know, Man United haven't been great, but they've still got individuals that can hurt a team like ours. You have to put that in context of the quality of play that we just don't have. So they were always going to come back and win that game. I never believed when we went to 2-2. I thought, nah, surely, we're going to still lose this. And we did. It was obvious anyway. It was obvious.
I mean, I know we've got 2 games left, but I don't think this learning 4-2-2-2 or this 4-2-3-1, whatever the hell it is working. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, this would be, but imagine if this happened, but I was actually seeing some fans saying, get rid of Jesse and put Mark Jackson in for the last 2 games.
He's manager of the month, man, officially. So
yeah. So, I mean, that would be very interesting, but it seems like the learning of this compact, narrow system is just over at the minute. It's clearly not working. Do you literally go into these last 2 games and just say to the players, just go and keep us up, express yourself, and just keep sort of a loose framework to what the players can or maybe should do?
Well, listen, when he first came in, I didn't think that he deviated too far away from Bielsa when he first came in. I thought, wow, he's easing these players out of the.
Was that Leicester game, wasn't it? It was a Leicester game. Yeah.
And again, I said it last night, but that was the only game where we hunted in packs. The Leicester game was what he used to say before on that video, on that coach's thing, where he likes his players to hunt in packs. That's literally the only game it's happened in. And we haven't seen it since. I mean, yesterday, we saw that yesterday. Forget the first goal, the second goal. I mean, and then the third goal was just, I mean, listen, when you want, just put clown shoes on them and red.
Do you know what I was thinking? I was watching it back and I wanted, the Benny Hill music in the background. That's...
Listen, Llorente lost possession at the halfway line because he had no one to pass to.
I know.
And he stumbles over the ball. But even then, there's so much work for Chelsea to do to score the goal. We had like 3-4 players in the box. Lukaku, the crowd really thought the chance had gone. They were like, hey, hey, hey. And then Lukaku just slaps it in because all these guys, I don't know what they're doing. Only we could go to a back five and make it look worse. But that's been the season. But again, that's on the quality of players that we've got and just the belief that they've got in themselves.
Christian Larson says, fantastic content as always. Connor, yourself and KG always provide great discussion. Matching together from Copenhagen. Fingers crossed for staying up. Yeah, you have. I mean, unfortunately, I've seen some people saying negativity, but I'm struggling. I mean, there's still but KG,
in the nicest way though, for people saying it's negativity. Just if you're here now, give us the positives of where we are right now with 2 games to go. Just I'm all ears, honestly, I am. So 2 games to go. Yeah, 2 games to go. We don't look like scoring. We can't get out of our own third of the pitch. Just give us some positives that what we're missing.
Yeah, just anything.
Yeah,
anything. And when people are saying we'll stay up, please tell me how. Tell me how, because we are doing nothing. We're
going to be Brighton.
I know. Oh man. And have you noticed, like, everyone? I mean, I'm not saying they're a top team or anything like that, but everyone just seems to. I don't know whether or not it's a fan thing of we sort of need to beat Brighton, so everybody's just saying 3 points. But Brighton are very good away from home. They're a good team. They're built well. They're a good structured club.
Yeah.
I mean, we've not beaten them in the Premier League.
Yeah,
3 attempts.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Brighton, you know what the thing I always picture with Brighton is, but the thing is, these guys just concede too early, but I just think of escaping with a draw, 0-0 at that as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're capable of batting down the hatches. And the thing is with Brighton, I know they just beat Man United 4-0, and they've had a couple of decent results lately, in all fairness, but they're not notorious for scoring goals, but, then enter Leeds and, come on in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that's where people are going with the Brighton thing and thinking about just being how desperate we are. But listen, guys, we saw that yesterday. It's all about as well who's going to be back for this Brighton game. Is Bamford? Oh, Philip, is Bamford going to grace us with his presence on Sunday?
No, but KG, how we saw it against Norwich, but God, this is bad, isn't it? We saw it against Norwich, but we saw it against Norwich, but Norwich are shite, right? Bamford did make a difference in that first half, but when you're talking about Grant Hanley and Ben Gibson at the back, it's a very different proposition to maybe Webster and Dunk or whoever's going to Joel Veltman or whoever's going to be in that back three that Brighton play. So Bamford up in this system, I mean, we can't even get the ball beyond halfway. I mean, we're not lumping the ball, we're not doing anything like that. I'm not seeing anything at the minute. So is it just going to be a case of when Bamford comes back, you're maybe going to start seeing Cooper roof the ball to Bamford, and then you're going to really see a counter press? Or I don't know if he's going to make a difference. I don't know if he's going to make a difference. We're not getting. Do you see what I mean? There's no. Yeah. Well, I mean, surely he would, but I mean, Ash has just said here, Bamford's going to be at left wing back. But yeah, you'd hope that he's going to make a difference. But when you can't get beyond the halfway line at the minute, I don't know.
That would be your only hope, isn't it? But it also relies on other players running past the halfway line, which is something we're not seeing.
Well, the counter press. That's the counter press.
Yeah. There was a couple of instances where Rafinha and Rodrigo were past the halfway line. Where were the other bodies? The only bodies that followed them were Chelsea ones. You've got to get with Bamford there. You've got more of a chance of him holding it up and doing the more physical stuff up there. But it's useless if you haven't got people coming inside or going on the outside waiting for the ball to be crossed in or anything else like that. So
do you think with that long ball then, we've been talking about that long ball and that counter press, so just playing off the second balls off Bamford or whatever. Do you think we've just not been doing that then? We've not been doing that because Bamford's not been there, and then maybe the style, everything's sort of going to change when he's there and we can actually play that sort of thing, because we've seen none of that really at the minute, have we, in terms of playing off the striker?
Yeah, but we could have done it if maybe Gelhardt had started, because he's decent. He's a terrier. He holds the ball up. He runs with the ball. More importantly, when he's got the ball, he's looking to attack. He's looking to get shots off. That's one thing that guy's not shy about. He loves to shoot. But the thing is, no one's used him. Neither coach have used him properly. I think it's been very bad the way that both coaches have used Hart this season. Not saying he would have scored 15 goals for anyone before they get all excited, but he would have given us a much more attacking threat than keep on sticking Dan James up front. How can you make the ball stick to Dan James? It won't stick. So when Bamford, if he does return, I don't know, man, because like I said on mine yesterday, I looked at some of their faces, the players that weren't playing. I don't know if they want it, man.
No, I don't. I'm in agreement with you, and once again, everyone's going to come on the negative bandwagon. I just don't see it. I don't see
No.
it. In my opinion, they're done. They're relegated. I see Burnley as fighters. I've always seen Burnley as that's the one thing you can throw at their door. I'm just seeing players heads down, limp, not following the men. Just there's nothing there. There's no heart or desire or passion last night. There was nothing. There was no trying to jeer the fans up when we get a corner. Just nothing. They gave us absolutely zilch last night. There was no reaction from Arsenal. So what as a fan can I say? And we keep saying this, don't we? Arsenal, oh yeah, we're Palace, we're going to get the win. Don't get the win. Arsenal, we might get a draw. Don't get the draw. Chelsea, we're going to get the win. Definitely got to beat Chelsea. Don't get the win. Brighton, 100%, we're getting 3 points. Well, I know we run these fan channels for a little bit of hope and optimism and a bit of positivity and improving people's lives and stuff. But sometimes, Cagey, that dose of harsh reality, it hurts the most, doesn't it?
Yeah, you got to call a spade a spade. Even myself yesterday, it was just like, I'm not there with you just yet, Connor. I think it's going to take the Brighton game for them to lose before I say, yeah, that is it done. Because
let's have a little discussion then.
Yeah,
why are you not there yet? And listen, we know that anything can happen in football. We can roll out all those cliches. But I've always said on this channel, I've said it on the debrief as well, there has to be some sort of performance. There has to be a glimmer of hope. And even against the teams in and around us, there's been nothing, KG. We're not seeing anything. So I don't understand how suddenly that's going to turn and we're going to get even a point against Brighton, who are playing on pomp at the minute. I mean, what's really going to change, do we think?
Listen, I don't have the answers. I don't have an answer.
Well, you need to have the answers because I need you to have the answers.
All I can say is if they can just, I mean, it's a big if, isn't it? Because they haven't done it in the past couple of games. If they can just tighten it up and get a point against Brighton, then let's hope Spurs beat Arsenal tonight. Because if they don't, then Burnley will beat Spurs again on Sunday. And then that's that. Like, we literally could be relegated this Sunday as well, for people that aren't fully aware. We could be down.
A Burnley win, it kills it, doesn't it?
Because of the goal difference.
Yeah.
But we've got to just hope. I mean, that honestly, I would say I'm more just hoping that it's not, because I can't see us scoring against Brighton. I just don't know where the goals are coming from, and I don't see how this team are going to get up to the attacking third. They look like newborn babies when they get up to the attacking third. Like, oh God, what do we do now? What should we do?
I've never seen anything like it. You know, even when we were in the League One days, when it was Gradle, Snoddy, Howson, Sommer, Johnson, Becchio, Beckford. Like, I mean, I know it was a different standard. It's a completely different conversation, but we've always been brave going forward with Leeds United, especially at home. And that's what I mean at the minute. That's why the hope and any sort of positivity is just drained from it. Because, I mean, Cagey, we looked terrified. We looked terrified of Chelsea last night. Absolutely frightened to death.
Yeah, we were bullied by them. And you mentioned about not remembering a time like this. I do, which is why I talk about the Championship when we had like Noel Hunt, Luke Varney, David Norris. Listen to these names. Paul Gray. That era when we didn't go for a few games without a shot on target, and then Ross McCormack scored, and then he's like this with his ears. It's like, what are you doing, lad? Fix up, man. I never like that guy. But I don't know. Honestly, I've got nothing. I've really got no explanation, because they just completely let me down yesterday. So for me to come on here now and say that they're going to give us a 2-0 against Brighton, or they're going to play out of their skin against Brighton, I can't actually do that. I'm just hoping that they give us something.
So Jal, in that 5-game unbeaten run, Rodrigo looked like a different player since then. I mean, I told you, Cage, what did I tell you? I
Yeah,
told you to calm down on Rodrigo, but it's it's the hope, isn't it? It's the hope.
Listen. He's back on death row, people. He ain't coming out of prison. He's gone. He's gone. All right.
Oh, man.
I got caught up in the sauce, but listen, I thought that we got something through with this guy.
Yeah.
Again, it's the hope, isn't it? But I thought we finally got something where we're getting the best out of our 27 million pound man. And he's been a ghost the last few games. I said it on my reaction last night, but there was a time where a Chelsea player slipped in midfield. He was closest to their centre back, and he didn't even chase it down. He just stood there.
He's back to
he's back to the old Rodrigo again.
Yeah, he is. He is where he's just lethargic. I mean, he doesn't sprint to a centre back. He doesn't sprint to a midfielder. You know, you never see him looking knackered. It's just it's a very leisurely jog, isn't it, over there? And if he doesn't make it, he doesn't make it. That's it. You know, someone else has got to chip in.
But where is it? I mean, he was on fire. I say on fire. I mean, he had a little bit of a match lit in those few games. Just where's that gone? How has it just turned off? How has it just gone off just like that? I just don't get it.
I think it's again when we're coming up against better teams who are able to sort of nullify him pretty easily. Really, I mean, KG. I don't think he's not a great player, is he? He's not someone who's going to really unlock the door. And I think a simple bit of tactical nous from a decent coach, I think Rodrigo's out the game, really.
You just look at Maxwell Cornet's couple of games that he had for Burnley, where he missed a penalty and he missed a couple of open goals. And if that was one of our players, they'd be shrinking for the rest of the season. But since then, he's kicked on again. He's scoring goals. Even in that Villa game, he scored their consolation.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about. We're not seeing any of that from our players right now. Not anything from any of them.
I mean, there's a lot of comments on him, and I think we're going to have to bring it up, really. Niles in the building, it says, I can't believe how bad Phillips was. Do you want to touch on this?
Listen.
Are we allowed to touch on Phillips?
I see what you're doing here. You're trying. But I'm not gonna waver from this, because I know when Calvin goes to his next club, he's going to be perfectly fine, because he's going to be with players of his ability. Just like Rafinha, both of those two I know are going to be more than fine when they leave this club. You can't do nothing with this team. Those two can't do it by themselves.
But Phillips has done it with this team, hasn't he?
As did all of them, remember?
But Phillips was the standout, wasn't he? Really, he was arguably the best player in that 11.
Well, yeah, but for me, some of the best games that Calvin had was when you didn't notice him. That's the best games that he used to have, where he would just literally be the one clearing up the stuff, making it hard for midfielders to get through. And you just go, oh yeah, Calvin had another solid game, didn't he? You didn't need to talk about it. It was kind of like one of those. But yes, the performances haven't been great. But I'm sorry, when you're trying to partner him with all these different kind of bums in midfield, I'm not going to get on him. I'm not going to do it, because when he's playing for England, I know England play a much better style, but I'm not going to get on Calvin Phillips for not being able to be next to Forshaw or Click or Cock or Strauch or whoever else they try and put near him. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Tytech MC says, what can Phillips do though, guys? He gets the ball, looks forward, and nobody's available. It's the whole team march on together from Gibraltar. Yeah, I mean, this is the system thing, wasn't it, Cage, that we were talking about ages ago, in terms of him not being able to adapt to a system that's narrow, because it takes away all of his best attributes, especially when you're looking at distribution. It will be really interesting, because obviously, you know, if Leeds do go down, seeing him in a different system, it's going to be really, really interesting to see if he's going to be able to just fit in a system and sort of, you know, develop, you know, shine there, really, obviously, because the only time he's really shone in, well, the only time he has shone in the Premier League, really, and just in general in football, has been under Marcelo Bielsa as that screening defensive midfielder.
Yeah, but listen, Bielsa molded this guy. Let's not forget that as well. Even for England, he looks like a different player, because he's asked by Southgate to do something different in partnering Declan Rice, and they each take turns at most of the time to go forward and one stays back. You talk about Declan Rice there, not Matthias Click or Adam Forshaw. So that's why, for me, it's hard for me to just say that this guy has completely dropped off the face of the earth. And considering he's missed a few months out again as well, he's been out injured as well. but he's been asked to do something different by Jesse Marsch, and yes, it's clearly not working. But there's no outlet for these guys to pass to. Much like Llorente when he was on the ball last night and he lost it. There's no outlet.
But I think that we do have to say with Calvin, I do think he was sort of. I mean, Vic's made a good point here, and I think that's why I brought it up initially. Maybe not. I mean, the professional football a bit, and I think that's a bit. You know, we can all have our off days, can't we? But a different system shouldn't mean misplacing passes, getting dispossessed, and recklessly hacking down players. And I would say that I think we can. I think we can both agree, KG. By his standards, I think he would be disappointed with his sort of first 3 games back. Really.
Yeah, I think, and just like Rafinha, I think he'd be disappointed that he's not getting on the score sheet more, whether it be goals or assists. I think they're both going to be like that because I've seen it before with these guys. They demand more. They demand more from the players, whereas more players are just happy to be there. I think they actually do want to do something, which is why both of them haven't committed to new contracts here.
Yeah.
So, I understand the Phillips concerns, but what I'm saying is just look out when he goes, and you'll see that he was never the problem. It's what we've got right now.
SY333, weird how Marsch started baiting that game, was all over Twitter for him to start. Was he influenced? Unbelievable to think that he had the experience in such a massive game. Thoughts, Connor? Yeah, SY, we have nothing else, mate. The old click thing that when we met in person, KG, and the old click thing that was said to me. Let's not. Maybe.
Are you ready to reveal that? Or
maybe at the end of the season, but trust me, we have got problems in central midfield. So
honestly, when you reveal that, man, it's going to make so much sense to so many people.
But yeah, I mean. Bait for me, technically, is as good as Click. I think the issue is what he's got, KG, is he's very left-footed, isn't he? And I think that side of his game needs to. I mean, he's almost so left-footed that there's no balance in his play in that central midfield area. I think that's a little bit of an issue. It's
an issue, but the issue is when the account tweeted this is his first start of the season in the league. That's the issue. We're in May. And we've had no other central midfielders properly not ones that can pass, make good balls, put through balls in. We've had none of those, but yet this is his first start in May. That's the issue at home to Chelsea as well. That's what I'm talking about. This shouldn't have been his first start. This should have been another game in the season where he's playing. Anthony Gordon, you mentioned him earlier. Everton, he's literally been the shining light for Everton.
It's kept them up.
Yeah, other youngsters have done it in other clubs. And yes, they've had dips where they fall off. That's just natural for young players to do that. But we didn't even give him a chance to do that. In the midfield, that was crying out for a central midfielder to get hold of the ball and pass it. But, people still want to go with Forshaw and Click.
So the last 2 games, and this is for people trying to ask us to be overridingly positive. I don't even see it as positive, negative. I'm just looking at it. It's literal facts. You're looking at. I mean, it's the representation. The representation, quantitatively, numerically, is when you look at the league table. That's the fact about it. But if you're looking at sort of a little bit subjectively, because I know people see football very differently. But if people are seeing this in a positive light, maybe I'm deluded when I'm watching football, and that is just. I guess I'll take that, but. When we are looking at it quantitatively, last 2 games, 2 shots, KG, 0 goals. And I mean, I know we're not big XG guys on here, but I mean, even we can formulate this as bad. But in 2 games, there's been a combined XG of 0.07. I mean, it is 0-0, isn't it, KG? We've just got to hope for 0-0s. That's it. What else can we do at the minute? Bamford maybe, but 0-0.
I mean, we're possibly going to be without Harrison as well. Some would say that's a good thing. In the box next to me.
Pause.
But I mean, listen. I think some people just don't take all the things in consideration. The goals scored over the season so far, the goals conceded.
Yeah,
it tells you. I mean, I don't know what you want us to come on here and say.
I know. Yeah, we should just come on here and do like a parody, like just do something completely opposite. Just do it all again and just do it.
Yeah, I can't wait for the championship. We're going to be so good. Oh, that parachute money.
Woo. Straight back up. We're going to convince Rafinha to stay because he loves Leeds. Because he loves the Arndale Centre. We'll keep him here. Freddie Notty just said, would you agree with the statement that we are already down? Nonetheless, Jesse is clueless, and we are no better than we were with Bielsa. KG.
Talk to me after the Brighton game. That's when I'll give my real opinion. I know it leaves only just one game to go, but I don't think we're going to get nothing against Brentford, because I think they're going to want to be the ones to relegate us. Yep. So yep. I honestly cannot see us doing anything there. So it's got to be after the Brighton game, I'm afraid.
For me, yes. Sorry. Yeah, we're still seeing the same things. You're getting Reece James out wide by himself within 2 minutes. Nobody near him. Crossing the ball in, Mason Mount by himself. And that's it, KG. We're not even defensively good either. We're not defensively good. We're not picking up men. We've lost focus. We've lost concentration. Discipline's out the window. So, we've completely regressed, haven't we? What can we? We're shocking at the back, and we're shocking going forward.
Well, this is it as well. All the aggression and all these tough tackles, they're coming in places where it's just unnecessary as well. Then it comes to our backs, and everyone's backing off, and giving all the attackers and all the room that they need, and all the room that they could dream of. Again, that third Lukaku goal, who concedes that in the Prem but us? It was a joke. But that's what we are right now. We are a joke. So that's the only thing I've got, man. I can't give you reasons why. I don't know if we're going to stay up. At the moment, I'm kind of resigned myself that we're going to be talking about Tuesday fixtures next year against Rotherham and all these guys. And
isn't that crazy, KJ? When we're both on 34 points, it's so deceptive, isn't it? You'd probably get an opposition fan looking at us, and you'll get some opposition fans in here. I know we get Villa fans and Everton fans, obviously, watching the channel and stuff like that. But you will get fans saying they've been a bit dramatic. They've been this, they've been that. They're on 34 points. Burnley are on 34 points. They're obviously going to lose to Spurs. So it is in the balance, but it is just. But what opposition fans don't understand is what we are watching is that horrific that we might have 2 games left. But we've been saying we've got 5 games left. We've got 7 games left. We've got 3 games. That's been the rhetoric for the past 1 or 2 months. And it's got worse.
Connor, no, this has been the rhetoric from when there was international breaks last year. And we were saying, well, these 3 games look good before the international break. We should get, 6 points from these. Yeah. Didn't happen. Remember those fixtures? And then the next fixtures came along with us. We say there's be like Wolves and all these guys. Like, hey, we could get 6 points out of these, and they still never came. We've been doing it all season long. This is nothing new.
Billy Payne. We need to start doing a nostalgia podcast, don't we? We should just do player focus on Tuesday. We'll get an extension on the debrief. We'll do it on Tuesday. The first player focus that me and KG are going to do, and Brownie, will be Noel Hunt.
God. I've got so many bad memories about that guy. That whenever I think of Noel Hunt, all I remember is running for no reason and then sticking his stomach for the attempt at a long ball to him. He was so bad. But again, that's it. That's what we've got to look forward to. Somebody that looks so good playing comfortably for Reading where there's not much expectation, then coming into Leeds and he was one of many. Jimmy Kebe was another. There's so many of them where they come here and they just shrink. They can't handle the pressure of playing for Leeds United. They love the idea of it, but they, different when you're actually playing.
Jimmy Kebe. I remember signing him and he was dubbed as the Championship's Yaya Toure. That went down well.
Cameron Stewart, that one didn't even happen. We signed him and tried to. That was a legal battle, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, man. We'll leave it at that. It's been a really cathartic show. Thank you everybody for joining. Make sure you're smashing the like overnight. Well, there's been 900 of you in here. Make sure you check out Cage's channel. Link will be in the description and the title. I guess it doesn't really feel right without Brownie to be doing score predictions, does it? Maybe we'll go off and what do you want to do? Do you want to discuss Brighton? Should we discuss Brighton a little bit?
Yeah.
What we'll do is, guys, what I'll do is I'll get Brownie's prediction. We'll get his prediction off there, and we'll get his stuff. Because obviously we're not going to be able to do a debrief before the Brighton game, so fixture congestion, it's been a nightmare. Let's discuss Brighton then for a little bit. I think they're a good team. Trossard. I think Mwepu has been very good from this season. I know he's injured. Basuma looks like he's revitalised himself a little bit after a little bit of a slump. Morpay obviously normally comes back to haunt Leeds, doesn't he? Normally gets about 4 goals a season, 3 of them against Leeds. Good team, good away from home. I think the 4th in the away form table, 18 matches. I think I'll tell you what, we'll get it up. Just a form table away Premier League. Let's just have a little look and see where they are. Away form table. They're 5th. 18 games played, 8 wins, 7 draws, and 3 losses. KG.
So we gotta make it 4 losses. Come on, Leeds.
Yeah. Or would you take a draw? I'll take anything at the minute. Take anything.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what happens tonight. I know that sounds bad, but it really does matter for Sunday. It does. Because if Arsenal beat Tottenham tonight, they're probably not going to play either Son, Kane, or Kulusevski on Sunday. Because why would they? We're like 3 days or however many days just after the North London derby. So
he's got to throw Bamford on. I don't care if he's 60% fit. I don't care if he's looking at a summer move. Throw him on.
Yeah, but listen, and that's something somebody did ask about Bamford. Do you think he'll stay if we go down to the champ? No, because he thinks he can probably get into the England World Cup squad, and he's going to look for a move to the Premier League.
Yeah, which is why potentially he might be keeping his nose clean at the minute. But
and that's because I got asked that question on my channel, and they said, do you think that Bamford should play even if he's 70% fit and maybe he doesn't fancy it? I said he definitely should, because it was only at the start of the season he signed a shiny new contract, and we haven't seen any returns after that properly. No, so yes, he should come in, but whether he will or not, we'll find out, won't we? But yeah, Brighton, it's a weird one because they literally should be at the beach right now. Who's getting the next red card? Whoa,
who are we going with? Red card bingo.
Wow.
That's where we are. I can't even remember the red card before Ailing, to be honest. I can't remember a red card, but there you go. That's how it's changed.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know. But Brighton, they shouldn't really have that much to play for. But are they looking to finish as high as they can? They're doing okay this season. Now they've done well this season, but they had a big lull in the middle of the season where they weren't winning games. But now they've come into good form towards the end.
Yeah.
But we got to show desperation on Sunday. Yeah. That's what they've got to do. This isn't the most unwinnable game, which is why I think so many people have got a bit of hope against Brighton. Like you mentioned, Trossard. For me, he's all right, but he's probably better than what we've got in midfield.
Mate, come on, look at what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's the problem, though, isn't it? We're talking about Trossard. That's the level below that we are, where we think that Trossard's a really good player when he's okay.
Yeah.
But we didn't even mention Cucurella roaming down the left as well.
What a signing he's been, by the way. When we're talking about left backs.
And that's what I'm talking about, kind of when instead of going from Alioski to a Cucurella, we went from Alioski to Firpo. Doesn't mean that we should have Alioski back. It's like, why didn't you get the recruitment right for Alioski's replacement? But yeah, we missed out on that one because I think he's going to be going for something like 50 or 60 in the summer if the rumors are true. So they've definitely done well with their recruitment there.
They have. They always seem to get it right, don't they? I really like McAllister as well. Alexis McAllister. He always seems to have a decent game against Leeds as well. Another sort of similar body to Trossard in terms of a small, diminutive player in that sort of number 10 wide role as well, just playing in that 3 behind the striker. So a lot of tricky players.
The one thing I'd say that they keep messing up or don't really attempt to fix is their striker position. I think they could do so much better than Mopé and Welbeck up front for a consistent scorer with the way that they play. I think that's been holding them back, in all honesty, with the type of football they play. But we've got to hope that they don't care. That's what we've got to do. We've got to hope that they're not playing at 100%, and somehow these guys can play to 100% of whatever abilities that they've got. Yeah, Lamptey too. Yeah. So
we've got to, this is what I mean, everybody. This is where pragmatism, which he keeps going on about, we have to take this into effect for this game because Brighton will make the pitch. Graham Potter's an intelligent guy. He was one of the first to move to a different system to really stifle Bielsa's system in the Premier League. He was sort of one of the innovators of doing that. the 3-4-3 system, which then Wolves copied. West Ham consequently copied as well after that and got joy against us. So they're going to play wide. You know, we know they're going to try exploit the fact that we play so narrow, and it's going to be Lamptey and Cucurella. Jesse we have to. I mean, this is his job, KG. This is what he's paid for. He has to figure this out instead of just doing the same thing, which we did against Chelsea when they played the pitch as wide as possible and they profited it inside 3 minutes.
Yeah, you know what I want from him for a start, just to show that he's a little bit more serious or taking this more serious. Make your press conference shorter. People might not think that that's a big deal, but his press conferences seem to go for like 45 minutes. Like,
he's not got a translator.
No translator either. Exactly. We used to think that the Bielsa ones were bad with the translator, like how long they took. He shouldn't be taking this long. It's too much talk. We need to see working with these guys, not see him, but he needs to be working with these guys now, making it clear that some of these guys are never going to see the Prem again unless they get the job done Sunday. But yeah, you want a score prediction?
Go on then.
You know, I feel silly, man. I feel silly yet again. They're going to make me.
And also, mate, I'll just say Vic Vinegar said Wolves always had a back three since the Championship. They did, but I'm not just talking about the tactical side of it. Brighton pressed out on our wingers. They pressed out on our wingers, and then we consequently saw teams doing the exact same thing. They were the blueprint. Anyway, go on. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. God damn. If I say 0-0 and I get egg on my face, so be it. But I'm going to say that these guys can shut up shop.
He's laughing.
Right.
Saying it.
I'm going to say that these guys can shut up shop and get a 0-0 draw.
A 0-0 draw. I was just trying to find the table from this is recently as well. Obviously, we will be back with the debrief on Monday, everybody. But yeah, so you've really got to get this one right, mate. Because I'm sort of hot on your tail now.
Well, go on then. Let's see what you got then.
So what did you go for?
0-0.
Okay, KG 0-0. Okay, God, why have I gone with me last again? I said this was the problem last time. 2-0 Brighton, mate, for me.
Oh,
yeah, 2-0 Brighton. I need points on the board, and I'm just going to be a realist now. I had a little bit of a thought process when it came to the Chelsea game, and I thought, no, Connor, don't do it. Go and be positive like the lads. I tried it, didn't work.
I know. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Like I said, I'm not expecting us to score, which is why I'm saying 0-0 and just hope that they can get a point on the board and put the pressure back on Burnley. But we're asking for too much from these guys, it seems. But hey, just got to ask one more time.
That's it, mate. People are saying, has Brownie been given the red card tonight? No, he hasn't. Brownie's available always for the debrief. This is just the final word show, which I normally do by myself, but I needed KG on here tonight to help me through this. But guys, as I say, as always, make sure you check KG's channel out. Link is in the title and the description below. Make sure you're liking the video and subscribing, and we'll be back for the debrief on Monday. See you in a bit.